Hello, everyone, and welcome to a panel on Streaming Eternal. I am Sunyveil. I am joined by Grimfan and y0ttabyte. Grimfan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about your stream?
Sure. Just like you guys, I stream Eternal over at twitch.tv/Grimfan, which is exciting, I guess. It's just mostly it's an informational stream, I guess. I do a lot of talking about plays, which is probably pretty normal, but I try to go in depth as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. I try to provide examples as to how I'm able to tell what's in our opponent's hand and playing around what they're doing. And we analyze matchups and all kinds of stuff. Lately, it's been kind of a drama fest, I guess, but that's just a different way to spice up the stream, I guess. Uh, I don't really know much else, but I'm part of Team Eternal Titans, which is a really awesome Eternal team that Sunyveil is also part of. So that's also a big part of my stream.
All right, what about you, Yada?
So I also stream Eternal Card Game. I'm a little less analytical than, say, you two. I kind of just chill out, play some card games, try not to get too tilted. Not always successful. And my dog is awake. And my wife has just arrived home. So that's good timing. I don't know. What do I say? That's pretty much it. I just play some cards and have some fun, interact with viewers.
Have you dethroned Loco Pojo as the king of the meme decks, as Agnarok has said?
I don't know. It's not like Loco's passed away or anything. He's still around.
That's true.
Stage a coup. Okay, and of course, I am Sunyveil. I do a lot of draft content. I think my channel is mostly focused around getting better. By the way, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. You guys took care of that? Okay, great. Also a part of Team Eternal Titans. So let's just give an introduction on how we got started. I got started streaming Eternal long ago, way back in the closed beta, I think, after the NDA was lifted. But I had a pretty long hiatus and have been back to it since about July. And I mean, I just started streaming on a more consistent basis. I was not able to stream consistently until then, and I don't know. I feel like I built the focus of my channel around drafting and getting better and trying to make tight plays, and staying up to date with the latest tech. Grimfan, why don't you tell us about your start for streaming Eternal?
Oh yeah, my start is pretty typical. I think I started out right after the NDA was lifted. I asked permission from my then boss if I could stream Eternal from work. She was like, yeah, sure, as long as you don't disturb anybody that's currently working in the computer lab. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can probably find a way around that. So I basically wrote a little Python bot that would copy any of the text that I put in a chat. And I had a text-to-speech program that would take my clipboard and say exactly what was on my clipboard each time something new entered anytime I put basically anything I typed in chat would then be said in text to speech. So that was my way to communicate with viewers. It didn't really work out that well, but I did try that for about a year, maybe a year and a half, something like that. And I mean, I had some success. I had a lot of fun with people. We also had chat drafts, which was a lot of fun. But I did take a break when I left that job for a more demanding job that was not going to let me stream from work. And I started streaming again in August, basically when the drops sort of started back up. And I had already invested quite a bit of money into my audio setup because I wanted to do streaming from home more often. And so I had a pretty good platform to sort of jump off in August.
What about you, Yada?
So yeah, I entered the closed beta like middle of 2016. Basically got in as soon as I could. Found out about the game through LSV stream, sort of in the very early days. I was a Twitch pleb back in those days. Was keen on watching all the Magic streams, including LSVs. But I was pretty addicted to Black Desert that year, so I sort of played the closed beta on and off. Wasn't really like that fully into it until the beginning of 2017 when that sort of addiction fell away. I was like, I'll get into Eternal now. The NDA is lifted and you can actually stream it now. And I sort of just pressed the start streaming button as a bit of a whim, just to see how it went. And I've been streaming pretty much every day since then.
Wow.
So I've streamed over 3,000 hours now of Eternal, and it is.
So Eternal was your first game as well, like the
I had about 500 followers from previously streaming just random games like Magic, Undertale, Fallout, just random things like that. So,
but you really exploded when Eternal.
Yeah. I mean, Eternal was definitely right off the bat had way more success streaming Eternal than any other games, just purely because you weren't lost in either a dead directory or a busy directory. It's kind of Eternal is really like the perfect stream game if you're starting to stream. Like the community's super small and there's not many streamers, but there's like a lot of demand for streamers at the same time in that community. So it's been a fantastic game to start streaming with 100%.
Yeah, I think one advantage of Eternal as a game to stream is that a lot of the people that watch it a lot, right? Like, how many of you guys have the Overmaster in your chat, like, on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I think he's probably less in my channel than in others because, like I said, it's just a drama fest over in my world. And Overmaster is just not into the drama, but, you know.
But, yeah, you have a lot of people that are watching for the game, and when, you know, I mean... all of us can only stream for so many hours in the day. They'll watch, you know, random streams, people who they don't recognize just because they want to watch the game being played. And I think that makes Eternal a really great game to start streaming with. Just to piggyback on something y0tta said a little earlier, I've done a little streaming of Magic and just random other stuff. And I guess I had a little bit of success streaming Magic. I think I had around 800 followers from it or something like that. But by no means did I have a regular audience until I started streaming Eternal. Okay, so let's talk about just getting started, some very basics that if you are getting involved on Twitch in any capacity that you should know and have good equipment and the right setup for it. So first, I think that it's important to have a reasonable mic. You don't need a great one. I mean, right now we can see in the in Grimfan's picture, he's got that nice, what is it, stage arm or whatever, and then the mic positioned really close to his face.
Yeah, my mic is a little expensive.
Yeah,
Grimfan's got the end game equipment.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm jelly.
I basically went to Admiral Baru's like setup thing, and I just ripped all of his audio gear as my audio gear. Like, and so he's got like an $800 setup, and I basically went with that. So I do not go with my audio setup unless you think that you're actually going to be able to, you know, make the money back, or you really have some expendable income and you just want to make the hobby extremely crazy. Like, there's other things that I could do with this mic. Like, I could probably record podcasts or do YouTube content, but I'm lazy, so I probably need to start using it more. But I will say that a mic is a very important thing. I started out with a Yeti. They call it the Snowflake, and it's actually a really tiny mic, but it's very powerful. And a lot of the Yeti mics are cheap but really powerful. And so one of the things that you can do is look into something called the Reaper audio plugins. And there's one that's called Reefer, which actually allows you, if you use it just a little bit, will allow you to remove a lot of the background fuzz and noise and not hurt your voice too much. But if you overuse it, you start to sound really tinny. But there's a lot of really great audio guides out there that talk about using the Reaper plugins and setting them up. And now they're actually They're actually in OBS now, so you don't even need to use an external program to do it. You just have to download the plugins and set them up and everything.
Yeah,
But that's just one. Sorry, go on.
yeah, and any products or links that we are referring to in this panel will be in the description for the YouTube video. Sorry, live viewers. If we can get them in chat, we will, but we might skip it. We might miss a few.
Yeah, you probably didn't expect me to ambush you on the audio stuff, but I did like a lot of research on audio. So,
what do you have a similarly expensive setup, y0tta?
No, that I do plan that. Like Grimfan definitely is freaking streamer goals. Like I'll probably end up with something like his eventually. But I just have a Yeti Blue microphone, and it seems to serve me pretty well.
Yeah, I also have the Yeti microphone, but for a long time I've been using this Microsoft HD LifeCam 3000 or something like that. I'll link it. I'll put a link to the Amazon page where you can buy it. It's only $30, but the video quality and audio quality are both pretty good enough for streaming. Although if you like, you might not attract many audio files. So I strongly recommend getting an upgrade to, like, especially if you're trying to use a laptop microphone or something like that, or even like a cheap webcam microphone. Make sure that your audio quality is something that's pleasant to listen to. So also streaming software, I really like Streamlabs OBS. I think it does a lot of things for you. It just has a lot of the tools that you need are integrated in it, and it makes it really easy to put together a scene. Grimfan, you were just saying that you prefer OBS by itself.
I haven't used Streamlabs OBS before. I'm sure it's good though. I just haven't even looked into it. I just because I also have my alerts on 2 different places. I found and I'm sure that you can integrate your alerts. I use Muxy for my basic follower alerts because it is really responsive. Like for some reason, there's no, like when somebody follows, it pretty much pops up immediately. And when I was using Streamlabs, and this was back when I first started, it might have gotten better recently. People would follow and then nothing would show up for like a really long time. And they'd be like, why isn't my follow, showing up? And I found the event ticker to be kind of slow as well. And so I use Muxy for the most of my alerts. The event ticker is still there. Eventually it catches up, which is nice. But I'm sure that Streamlabs OBS maybe solves some of that problem. I'm not even sure. I should probably look into it though.
Yeah, they're on version 0.11.3, which means that they're still in beta, I guess. What about you, y0tta? You're having issues with
Yeah. So I used Streamlabs OBS for a fair while, but yeah, I started running into issues with some of the latest updates, so I sort of reverted back to normal OBS, and I've been pretty happy just running the normal OBS and having the chat up on a different window. It's not really that too much of a hassle for me, but the Streamlabs OBS is nice to have everything in the whole, like one whole program. It definitely is very convenient, but just found a little funny thing since it's in beta, I guess. It's not 100%.
So you got to do it with Swag asked about the Shure SM58, and those microphones are good. In fact, I had like an AT2020 for a while, and my biggest problem was, and I didn't know this at the time, was that you have to bring the power up to line level. So what you really want to do is when you invest in any mic that's like that, like any XLR mic, is you want to probably get a tube amp, like it's a preamp that lets you basically add gain to your mic, add power to your mic without adding any sort of fuzziness or background noise. And then you probably want to look into either setting up a compressor, either a digital compressor like through OBS or something like that, or like I have a Behringer compressor over here that I use as a compressor / peak limiter. So anyway, you can invest in those mics, but they do require a little bit of extra money wise. Like you probably would need some sort of mixer that allows you, like a USB mixer that allows you to plug your XLR mic in there and all kinds of stuff. So anytime you'd invest in a mic that's not just a plug and play USB mic, you've got probably a couple extra $100 on the back end.
Yeah, if you guys have any audio questions, you guys can ask Grimfan. I think I'll stay out of this one. Okay, but anyway, back to the Streamlabs thing. I think that two really important things to have while you are streaming is the chat box. As you can see in this video, their chat messages are appearing in the bottom right, and also a follower alerts. Let me see if I can turn that on so that you get a nice little notification when someone follows or subscribes to you. I'll try to replay one of these.
Snack time,
There we
Minerva.
go. And it's just a nice little way to acknowledge your viewers and let them know that, well, let you know that someone's watching you, and so that you have the opportunity to acknowledge them. Okay. All right, and someone asked about setting up a bot in your channel, and I think it's a good idea. I use MTGBot. Nightbot works, but the nice thing about MTGBot is that it actually has an internal card base, so you can type exclamation point and then the name of the card, and then it will spit out the card text. It doesn't have the functionality that Nightbot has. Nightbot can do a lot more things with commands, but it also just doesn't have the card database. How do you guys feel about bots?
I'll let Yada lead on that one.
So I don't use Nightbot or MTGBot. I had this OCD thing where I was just like, I really want my bot to be able to be called something custom. I didn't want just the stock standard Nightbot or whatever. So initially I was using a bot called PhantomBot, which allowed you to have a customly made or named bot. And that served me pretty well for the most part. I'm pretty sure that's still a thing. But then Streamlabs released, I think it was previously called AnkBot, but they rebranded it to Streamlabs Chatbot. And I've been pretty happy with that bot lately. It's pretty nifty. It doesn't. The one thing I do miss is not having the card thing that MTGBot does have. That is a really nice feature that Dan Bopes has cleverly schemed up for his bot. So I do miss that. But other than that, the y0ttabyte is pretty fully functional the way I want it to be.
I use a Nightbot myself, and I used to have both of them, but I was having some problems with the commands. Like when I would add a command, it would add it to both of them, or it'd be kind of weird. Because I did really like MTGBot's ability to pull up cards, but I really liked Nightbot's ease of use as far as adding commands goes, because they have a web interface for actually adding commands manually. And I don't know if MTGBot has that. I don't think it does. And so actually, I even had trouble figuring out how to make MTGBot leave my channel at one point, because I was just like, screw the card thing. It's fine. If anybody wants to know what a card does, I'll just pull it up manually. I don't care. But one thing that did help me a lot was adding every hour I have it talk about my social media platforms. Right now, it's just talking about Twitter. I'm going to add the Discord to it as well. And that has actually drummed up quite a bit of Twitter followers, believe it or not. Like I know that it doesn't sound like many, but probably 20 or so since I actually added that to my bot as something that happens every hour. And that's like something like those kinds of things I think you can do as long as they're not too invasive, that can help you a little bit on advertising your where you're at and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think if someone wants to stay connected with your stream, there's a good chance that they want to follow you on Twitter. So you should have a good way of getting that information out there. So bots, again, are just fantastic for plugs, commands. The plugs that Grimfan had mentioned about just being on a timer and telling everyone every 20 minutes, hey, go follow me on Twitter, or this is a project I'm doing, or here you can view other content. Also commands for, like, if there's a web page that you always want to link to when someone has a question. Like I have a command on my chat that's just full of budget decks, because people are always asking about budget decks. So I have a link. If you type !budget in my chat, the bot will give you like 6 links to budget decks I've made. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So now for a little bit of Twitch 101 that's just completely unrelated to Eternal. A lot of this information is very much out there, and this is not going to be novel stuff that we're about to say, but it is important if you're trying to develop an audience on Twitch. So there in chat, I linked in the description, I linked a a good article that talks about a lot of these things that just as a streamer on Twitch, if you don't know the basics, these are good things to know.
I've never read this.
Oh, you've probably seen this information in one form or another.
I should read this. This looks really
Oh
good.
God. Okay, so let's talk about first the best ways of being visible. And I think the best when I get the most growth, it happens during one of two things, and one is a large raid from a big streamer and being the top streamer in the directory, having the most viewers in the directory. And I feel like those are the two absolute best ways, even if they are difficult to attain, of increasing visibility for your channel.
Yeah.
You guys agree with this?
Unfortunately, yeah. Because so one of the things that I do as somebody that has I don't know. I don't want to sound full of myself, but usually I can get a couple hundred people without a raid, which is I think okay. And usually what I do is in my off time, I'll research other streams that look like they're good potential hosts. And so I think that honestly, the best thing that you can do to start gaining some visibility is, first of all, networking with other streamers is a really good idea. You can come in and talk to them. For instance, Tall Shark and Handsome is one of those people that has come into my stream a lot. He's the creator of the Grimfan stuff. Like, he is just an all-around really great community member, and he's recently started streaming, and I threw him a pretty big raid last night because, like I said, me and him have these interactions, and he's done some networking. Now we're buddies, and so it's not just networking just to network, but that really did help a lot. And his stream is pretty well set up, so I'm confident that if I host him, my viewers won't mind his content because he's not going to like start screaming at the mic or doing some crazy thing or have really bad audio where like the music is louder than his voice or anything like that, because I've already researched his stream before I even host him. So I definitely, being at the top is really good. I don't think that you can start out being at the top for increasing your visibility, though. I think that networking with other big streamers is a really good way to start that, I think.
Yeah, and these are not... I mean, these are just, like, the best things you can do for your channel, even if they're not something that you can do immediately. We'll talk about a little bit more about, getting to this point. But, like, just having several hundred fresh eyes, I guess several hundred might be exaggerating, but, like, even 100 or even 50 fresh eyes on your channel is a great way to get stream growth. And like Grimfan said, like, we'll raid people that aren't established streamers from time to time, right? Just because we like their content, we recognize their name. Like, the Overmaster doesn't stream, but if you are reaching the end of your stream and you see the Overmaster is streaming, would you raid him?
Yeah, and the other thing that's also helpful is if you are a competitive player, getting part of a team can be really helpful because, for instance, I had never seen a Bruised by God stream back when my stream started taking off, but then all of a sudden Bruised by God was in the directory, and I was like, oh, there's no way that a Bruised by God stream won't be at least informational and good on the surface, right? So I just hosted him up because he's got name recognition from playing in tournaments and from being an active part of the community, and that also can definitely get you out there.
Yada, do you have something to add?
I guess the one thing that really, I mean, I really don't think I'm like the best Eternal streamer around, and nowhere near it. The matter of fact that I was consistently like the only Eternal streamer in a certain time slot is like the freaking early morning US, really, really early morning US, where no one else was streaming really, apart from maybe True Dawn in the early days. Just having that consistent time slot where not many other streamers were around was really, I think, instrumental for building a viewer base for at least myself. So I guess my tip would be to avoid streaming at the same time as big Eternal streamers, because you'll kind of just get lost at that point.
There is definitely a gap right now, I would say, that is like midnight forward Central Standard Time, kind of. Yeah, something like midnight forward. Almost nobody Central US time, there's almost nobody streaming midnight forward. Now Jonah does sometimes because his schedule's all over the place.
Yeah.
But I know that for a fact people put exclamation mark streamers or whatever in Discord, and they're like, oh man, nobody's on. And that's just because there's just nobody that wants to stream in that time slot right now. So there's definitely an open area there for somebody if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So if you can capitalize and if that's convenient for you, that's definitely something that you should take in mind and try and make a schedule around where those sort of dead spots are, for sure.
Yeah, and I think you can also strategically plan it so that you're at the tail end of some bigger streams when there aren't big streams after them. For example, I was helped out a lot by the fact that y0tta was raiding me, because I was on early in the morning, and y0tta would be done, and there wouldn't be very many people streaming Eternal, and he would raid me with like 800 people or something in the peak of Droptober. So that's a good strategy for planning out when to do your streams. I just want to touch on something that Grimfan mentioned before we go on to talk about scheduling more, is being an active part of the community. He mentioned Bruised by God, who is a well-known tournament player, and we've mentioned the Overmaster, who, in addition to having tournament success, is just someone that you see in Twitch streams a lot. This name recognition does a lot for both streamers that are looking to raid streams at the end of their stream, and also for people that are just browsing the directory. Maybe someone isn't a fan of me and I'm the only like big streamer on at the time. Yeah, that sounded conceited. Holy cow. Anyway, but someone's just not interested in my content, and they see a name they recognize, like Bruised by God or another community member. You don't even necessarily have to be a tournament player. You just have to be an active member of the community, and I think that name recognition goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm always hanging out in people's chats, and it helps you.
It's so weird because I'm just like, I'm streaming along and all of a sudden there's a wild y0ttabyte and I'm like, shouldn't you be sleeping? Like everybody always asks you, shouldn't you be sleeping? And it's like,
yeah, it's like the #1 question I get in chats. Shouldn't you be asleep right now?
Yeah, I don't think anybody understands what your schedule is, not even me. So, but I will say that having your name similar on every platform you're on is also a big way. Because say that your name on Reddit is Alpacalypse, right? And then your name on Twitch is Poetic Discord. You might be known on Reddit for your good gauntlet decks and your strategy for grinding gold as Alpacalypse, and then you decide to stream on Twitch as Poetic Discord. Nobody's going to know who you are until people come and connect that. But they would have to do the work to figure out who you are. So if you ever make a viewer do the work to figure out who you are, I think that you're already shooting yourself in the foot. So I think that if you have a community name, try to stick to that same name on all of your accounts if you possibly can, because that's one thing I've noticed is that sometimes I'm surprised when I go into somebody's channel and their name in game is different from their Twitch name. Like that's just not something that I think you are really going to want to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point, especially for Alpacalypse, because he does do a lot of work for the Reddit, and I mean, it took me a while to connect Poetic Discord to Alpacalypse. Okay, so let's talk about schedule for a bit. I skipped interacting with viewers. Well, we'll get to that. Let's talk about schedule for a bit. One of the most important things for developing an audience is just having a consistent schedule, so that if someone is, say it's 4 p.m. on a Thursday or something, someone who just has a break from their normal schedule during that time will be like, oh, maybe I'll watch some Eternal. I know that this person is on. I'll go watch them, right? So my advice for consistent schedule is, if you can, I understand that daily streams is not something that everyone has the liberty of doing, but if you can keep it to the same time slot, the same day of the week, on a consistent week-to-week basis, that's really important. And especially if you can stream, multiple weekdays at that time slot, or multiple weekends on that time slot, so it's easy to remember what those times are for someone that catches your stream once and then wants to catch it again. And the other thing about scheduling is, I think that in order to grow audience, it's important to set aside pretty large chunks of time. I would say 3 hours minimum. If you stream for less than that, it's difficult to actually gain traction and visibility. What do you guys feel about that?
So I try to stream at least 4 hours a day. So that's usually my magic number. I like streaming about at least 4 hours a day. I stream 7 days a week, so that's my view on consistency, but I have the luxury of doing that. I try and keep the same time slot, same time slot every day. People know when to find me.
So somebody asked this earlier. Is streaming your full-time job?
No, it's a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I definitely, even though I have a schedule that I have posted, people still ask me on Sundays and Mondays whether or not I'm going to be streaming, which I think is funny. Sometimes people will ignore your schedule, but having one definitely means that people know when they can see you. And I definitely think that I'm just going to put him on blast because I feel like he put us on blast all last night for this panel. But if he streamed more, Kep would basically be unstoppable. Like he would definitely be. I think he would have already basically made partner if he could make a schedule that he was able to stick to and was able to do it for longer than 3 hours. Because even though he's constantly last night making me feel bad about myself, when that 3 hours was up, I was so sad. Once again, and every night, like clockwork, when his 3 hours are over, I'm like, God dang it, I just need more Kep in my life. So I definitely think that that streaming in bigger chunks is very helpful, building a community, having an active schedule, definitely not giving up whenever you're kind of low on viewers, and just like sticking to your schedule if possible. And yeah, I would say 4+ hours is probably a good start.
All right. One important part of Twitch is make sure that you interact with the people in your chat. I think that most of the people, when they think to themselves, I want to, just go on Twitch, they're looking for interaction, right? They want to play a game with someone, play a game with friends. That's certainly what I want when I go into someone's chat and I want to, watch them play. I want to have some, back and forth about what's going on. So make sure you talk to your viewers. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, right, guys?
Yeah, there's a couple ways that you can do it. I think that some streamers are a little less interactive with their chat than others, and they still manage to make it work because in general they're entertaining on their own. But I think that people watch Twitch and chat and chat in the chat and everything because they like to engage with the streamer, and that does definitely makes them feel like they're part of the gameplay rather than just watching it. So I think that it's a big part of being a successful streamer.
One more thing that I forgot to mention when talking about the setup: 2 monitors, right? You guys both have at least 2 monitors?
Yep.
Yeah,
I have 3. Yeah.
It's very difficult to stream with less than 2 monitors. And once you, honestly, even for regular computer usage, once you go to 2 monitors, it's pretty hard to go back. So having one screen being, the gameplay, and one screen being all the other stuff you have to do as a streamer, including chat, your streaming software, any like a browser to look up information or whatnot.
Do you have low latency mode on, you guys? Do both of you stream in low latency?
Yeah, I use it. Yeah.
I think I checked it, but I'm not sure. I should double check that.
Well, I was wondering because that's one thing that you can do. It just as advice if you like interacting with your chat at very fast speeds is by checking low latency. I don't remember where it is in your dashboard.
Well, Grimfan, that's only available for partners. So
no, I had it as an affiliate.
I think it's affiliate. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're an affiliate, then you should be able to stream in low latency mode, and it really does help keep up with, like, it lets you basically have almost no delay with your chat. It's very
all right. And one more thing, just about streaming, especially if you're just starting out, there are going to be a lot of times where no one's really talking in chat. That doesn't necessarily mean that no one's watching. There could, I think that the majority of Twitch users are lurkers, right? So there are going to be times when it feels like you're not interacting with people, even though you are, or if people are coming in, like, and checking you out, they'll be in the middle of you explaining something as opposed to, silence. So embrace the feeling of talking to the void. I'm sure all of us have had that experience, had a lot of that experience as a streamer. Alpacalypse
Yeah.
also asked, did you say never?
No, definitely.
Okay.
I sort of never really had a problem with that though, because I grew up as an only child and I always talk to myself. So I just talk to myself while streaming. There's no problem.
Yeah. So,
I didn't really experience that until I tried to stream something not eternal, and it was a little tough at first, but it's just one of those things where you've got to enjoy the game you're playing and try to keep it as entertaining as possible.
yeah. So Alpacalypse asked this question on the Reddit thread of how you keep a conversation going. You do I think that you should be talking consistently, but you don't have to be talking all the time. There are going to be pauses. Like, give yourself breaks. Don't just be talking nonstop. Just because there's a lull in the action. Like, sometimes your opponent's just taking a long time. You can just, take a few seconds off. So yes, especially if you're starting out streaming, you will be talking to what feels like nothing a lot of the time, even though it might not be nothing. And but also don't be afraid to take a few seconds off here and there. Give yourself a little break. Because streaming's exhausting. Like, if you stream for 4 hours, at the end of it, you're probably worn out if you're doing a lot of talking. Okay, so that's all just basic Twitch stuff. There's a lot of resources out on that. I want to focus more on stuff specific to Eternal. Now, earlier we talked about name recognition, being active on Twitch, just being a frequent visitor to other people's Twitch streams. That'll get your name out there, and if people recognize your name, they'll click on your stream. Tournament finishes are a good way of getting your name out there as well. And being active on Reddit also helps with the exposure. And make sure your Reddit name is the same as your Twitch name, as we've talked about. Do you guys have stuff to add there?
I don't really participate too much outside of Twitch in terms of like the other Eternal hubs that much, I would say. Even I don't really participate in tournaments that much either, since I suck. And I'm sometimes on the Eternal Discord here and there, and I never post on the Reddit. So you can also just be on Twitch and be successful. You don't. I mean, every bit helps, but you don't have to. If you're not feeling like you have to, you're not forced to put yourself out there as many ways as you can. If you get what I'm saying.
Nitro Turtle asks, do you feel that if you want to stream Eternal, you must own most of the cards to be successful? Yeah, I mean, the metagame in Eternal is constantly changing. So I think that if you want to, if you're building yourself as someone that is trying to do well on the ranked, I think you really do have to have a good collection. Nada, you were shaking your head about this?
Or you could just be like Tony and just play Armory nonstop.
One of the things you could do, there is a gap right now that needs to be filled for a really excellent draft streamer. Somebody focuses on this. I don't know if I think there's a space for it. I know that right now the people who do limited also do a lot of ranked in addition to it. So they're kind of like, I know that Sunny plays quite a bit of draft, but you also play quite a bit of ranked as well, right? And yeah. I'm the same way. I like draft a lot, but I am mostly in practicing for tournaments and things with my ranked play. So I tend to do a lot more of that as well. So I think you could probably have even with not a huge collection, if you've got a good grasp on the limited format, you would probably be able to secure some viewers that way.
Isomorphic, where are you at?
Dude, show us your secrets.
Yeah, if he streamed, I would be all over that because it's black magic that he's constantly at the top of the draft thing.
Yeah. So C-Cow asks a good question. Is there merit to doing some test runs first? Absolutely. I mean, even though I stream a lot, sometimes I'll do a quick recording of maybe just like a couple minutes just to see how my setup is with regards to balance, audio balance, just like how the scene is working, if I'm doing a new scene. So definitely do some test runs.
OBS has a feature that like literally you can click start recording instead of start streaming, and then you just go to that video and you can see pretty much everything what the viewer is going to see. So definitely you can do that anytime you want to like test a new audio setup or anything like that.
So people in chat are bringing up a good point about like Agnorak says that they've seen a good number of budget deck streams and seen some new player friendly streams do fairly well. I guess, but like this is a discussion that I had with Grimfan a while ago, shortly after TwitchCon. I feel like once you get past that initial, like some people that are new to the game might be looking for new player content, but I think quickly that content gets used up. Like you can't just have a stream dedicated to new player content all the time. I think that's not. I think that's just going to lose, not be so interesting after a while. How do you guys feel about that?
I had a pretty successful new player stream, but like that was when I was trying to camp in the top 100, and I played it as basically an alternate account, because it is cool to show off how generous Direwolf is to newer players in Eternal. Like there's a lot of opportunities to get a lot of packs, and you can build a pretty good deck out of a small collection. But like you said, it's kind of hard to keep that content rolling, and like at some point you're probably going to have to invest some sort of money or something into your collection if you want to be playing whatever the meta decks are.
Yeah, people like knowing what the new hotness is, and having a very big collection is good for that. Also, Seacow asks a good question about how important do you feel it is to find a specific niche. Eternal's small enough that you don't really need to do that. I mean, it's I guess it's good. Like if you're all about the memes, then people will know that you're all about the memes. Or if you're all about competitive decks, like Manu is obviously just all about competitive decks. Have you guys seen him play anything that it wasn't purely for like smashing people's faces?
Yeah,
I mean, you play strangers a lot today.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he'll start experimenting with something that'll lose him a bunch of ranks, and then he's like shelves it and goes back to a competitive deck for a while. But like I saw him messing with like Huru Island deck that was trying to cheat out channels and stuff with Talut and all kinds of silly stuff. So I've definitely seen him work on some weird decks.
Yeah, so, but like the three of us are pretty varied. I think that Eternal's not at a place right now where you need to be very specific in your content to be successful. But it can help, I guess. Okay, on to... Yeah, let's talk about some self-promotion. So, I think that there are some ways specific to Eternal for self-promotion. So we've talked about hosts and raids before. Getting raids are great, right? Like in a perfect world, you'd always just be receiving, right? But you do have to give to receive. If you raid someone, they'll probably remember it, and they might raid you in the future. So constantly be scoping out for streams that you like, streams that your viewers might enjoy. Raid that person, develop a relationship with them, and they'll pay out dividends in the future. And I mean, it's not all about just like a business transaction, one raid for another. It's like I think that you really have to have some sort of, I don't want to say personal connection, but like you need to interact with the person. It's not just all about the raid. It's about interacting with them and developing a relationship with them, and like, oh, you also stream Eternal, you do this stuff, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, just getting to developing that connection, I think, is important in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, you remember back when we were all trying to get partner, and there was a little bit of drama over the trying to like keep the raids in the team. But I think you had a really great approach to that, which was try to expand your networking as much as you can. And even though that, like, sharing the raids between team members is really great, and it's something that we definitely did a lot with the Droptober, but also forming new connections with streamers that have a similar audience size to you can be very beneficial as well. So like when you raided Zenitone a couple times, then he throws back a raid your way maybe once in a while, or Mulligan has a similar audience size and has maybe a little bit off of a streaming time than you, but maybe Mulligan once in a while will have a different schedule and he'll throw you a raid when he can. Those kinds of things, like building relationships with the whole with the whole community, I think is a very big deal, not just your teammates, even though we are obviously awesome. So
one other thing I would like to point out as far as hosting and raiding, you are most likely to receive a host or raid from someone of a similar stream size for you as you. Now, that's not a cold and fast rule. If you have a friend that's a big streamer, by all means, ask them, hey, can you throw me a host or raid sometime? That's good. But like, if it's someone that you don't know too well, if you find someone the same size, they're going to be in the same boat as you as far as where they are with their streaming. I mean,
does asking really work? Because first of all, I've never had anybody ask me.
Wait, I have totally asked you for raids.
Well, no, we planned those. That's different. Asking.
I don't think I've ever asked anyone.
I think that Manu maybe asked me once or expected it, which I think was fine. But other than that, I don't think that I've had anybody directly come up, like a smaller streamer come up and ask me, hey, can you raid me today or anything like that.
Right.
Would that work for you if somebody did that?
Well, I mean, it would have to be a friend or like even just someone that I know via the Eternal community. Like,
okay,
if I'm not already planning on raiding someone specific and an hour before the end of the stream, Bassoon Buffoon's like, hey, I'm thinking of booting up in an hour. Would you raid me? In a private DM. Do not put this in Twitch chat. That is terrible Twitch etiquette, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, Bassoon and I are buddies. So, like, I would definitely
I think
do that.
I would prefer that somebody, Manzel, I think I'd prefer that somebody subtly do it in a way that doesn't directly ask me. Does that make sense? Like if somebody was like, man, I'm a big fan of your like I guess they'd have to, if they buttered me up and then they were like, hey, can you check out my stream sometime? And then I checked out their stream and I was like, oh, this is totally a hostable stream, that sounds great. Or a viewer like recommended them to me, then I think that I'd be more likely to host them than if they actually just came up and said, hey, I'm a big fan of your stream and I'm trying to start out, will you throw me a raid? I'd be like, well, I probably wouldn't do it the first time, but I would definitely do research on that person's stream. So I guess it wouldn't really hurt if you asked me. But I will not actually host a stream until I at least go into their channel for 5 minutes and see that the audio is reasonable and that they are not just like completely off the wall playing poorly. Like those are the two things that I think that people in my audience would not like, is somebody who started going crazy with the audio and somebody that was playing so poorly that they wouldn't be able to get into the gameplay.
Grimfan has very high standards.
I do have high standards. It's true.
I'm never getting a raid from Grimfan.
No, I would raid you if you like. I've watched your stream. I actually think you have a great stream. Yeah. I would raid you if I could.
Our schedules don't quite line up. But my point earlier was that if it's a friend that doesn't necessarily have a large audience, I guess Bassoon Buffoon was a poor example.
He's a really bad example because I think that he streamed more. He would be raiding us. It wouldn't be the other way around. Yeah. He's like he's very entertaining. I think he could pull a huge audience on his own if he streamed more often.
Okay, let's put it this way. Sorry to exclude you for a second, y0tta. If Moosh was streaming, right, we would 100% raid him, right? If he asked for it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The thing is, like, Moosh is an exceptional player, so I would be okay with that. The only problem is that he always has internet problems. So, like, I know that if I host him, he's going to lose a lot of viewers just because of packet loss and stuff like that. But I would do it for Moosh because he's my best friend, basically. So.
Yeah. Okay. Also, just one more, since we're talking about ratings, one more thing on the rating mindset. This is not an uncommon occurrence. Sometimes I'll be about to end my stream and none of the names jump out at me. I'm taking a look at the directory and then I'll just be like, you know, who should I stream? Like there was that one time where I was like, hey, Grimfan, who should I raid? And you were just like, let's just raid Enroush. I recognize him as a just as an active member of your chat, right?
Yeah, and I'd already done research on his stream before too. Like I had researched and saw that his audio was good and that he had weird gameplay but it was still like he was doing lines that were interesting, and I found him pretty good to. But yes, I did suggest him. Yeah, I'm really creepy, guys. I research other streamers like crazy. Like I look at this as a business, so like I'm looking at my competition constantly. Even the people who have like 10 viewers, I'm like, I'll stop in there and I'll be like, let's see how they're doing today. And it's like, you know, usually it's like 30 seconds. If they're just like really unentertaining, I'll just leave. But like there are people that are up and coming that I think, you know, could definitely do really well in this directory. And so I actively research a lot of people. I know it's really creepy.
So now I know what you do with your Mondays when you're not streaming. You're just researching all the people that stream during the day on weekdays.
And every night, like basically when I get off, I'm looking for at the other people that are streaming, because those are all people that I could potentially host if I think that they have the right
And
I'm just saying that's just what I do. I mean, it's a lot of work, honestly. So it's just one of those things where I like to keep up with the.
Okay, just to answer a few questions in chat really quickly. Tato Dress, do you really need a webcam to be an okay streamer? You don't need one, but I think it's important because people come to Twitch for interaction, right? If they can see the person they're interacting with, I think that benefits them a lot. You guys agree with that?
There's a few in the directory that don't have a webcam and doing pretty well though.
Yeah, but I think they would do better if they did.
Yeah, probably.
We'll see. One of them is Mulligan, and I think that. Yeah, I actually gave a lot of subs to Mulligan recently because I wanted that face. I think that Mulligan will do great with a camera, though. So I will say that if you do have a camera, you have to be very aware of where you place it. You have to be aware of how you're framing yourself. I don't like the floating cameras very much, although it's really funny where Bassoon Buffoon puts his, because Waystone just like overwrites it completely if you don't move it, which I think is a perfect location for somebody like Bassoon Buffoon to have his camera. And I just say it's absolutely hilarious. So if I think that not having a camera is probably better than having one if you are not aware of what it takes to make the camera look good, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
And also, there was another question about Tall Shark and Handsome asked, is it raid or host? Raid, because it puts people in the chat. They can interact with the streamer immediately.
Host is like pretty antiquated now. It kind of exists still, but you probably should just always raid.
Yeah. /raid streamer name. Okay. Oh, self-promotion. Right, that was the topic we were talking about earlier. So you're not allowed to strictly promote your stream on Reddit, but if you have any cool projects like other content, you can always, you know, if you write an article, you can post that article on Reddit and then link to your stream. This is a tactic that I employ very frequently as someone that makes a lot of content outside of just Twitch streaming. I'll, you know, write an article about you know, what's the play article or whatever, and just have clips from my stream that I took for the article. And I think that's a pretty good way of getting some extra exposure. You guys don't make any content outside of the stream, right?
No.
Okay. All right. So clearly, it's.
I mean, I would like to write more, but I am late. But yes, I do my best. I would like to create more content outside the stream, but like I've got a dozen unfinished articles that could have gone on the website by now, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I definitely think that it does help to. Like for instance, the day I did I did a bronze 2 to masters on a new account, I had a pretty good stream, and I posted the deck that I used to do it on Reddit with a clip, with a decent clip from that stream. And I thought that thread went pretty well, and people really did like that deck, and the creating content like that can definitely help. But there are rules. So knowing the rules of self-promoting, you can only do it a certain amount of times a week. Like Sunny said, you can't directly link to a stream, but you can post really cool clips. So if you have some great outtake, you can post that to Reddit. It can initially get removed every once in a while because it might look like it's linking directly to your stream. You just have to talk to one of the Reddit mods, and they usually can approve it for you. So
Yeah, so you can use Reddit as advertising, but it can't be just, hey, I'm going live now, or like, I'm a streamer. You have to have some real content behind there. Now, somewhere where you can advertise, hey, I'm going live now, is the Eternal Discord. And I actually strongly recommend that. A lot of people check that, right? In the Eternal Discord, the stream section. If you're going live, just post it in there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a frequent visitor to that channel. Probably more frequent than any other part of the Eternal Discord.
I never look at that.
I actually never look at the going live. It helped a lot when I initially started streaming because Discord was like the main source of communication. But now that now that I post it on Twitter, I've got my own Discord. Like I just don't post when I'm going live in that Discord. But I think that if you are a new streamer, that is actually a pretty good way to get some views on your channel. People like posting in there will maybe get you some audience members that you might not get otherwise. So
yeah. Okay, let's go to this question from Gibbons++, unless you guys have more to add about self-promotion.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, I'm bad at it too. But like the thing is, like pushing, believe it or not, and I know this is going to be stupid, pushing your Twitter and being entertaining on Twitter and interacting on Twitter has been a huge part of my growth. Like I had a post where I talked about playing against LSV in a tournament a while ago. And LSV actually interacted with that and it got a bunch of likes and stuff. Like I got several followers from that. And now those people know when I go live, and that is that can be kind of a big deal, and people liking your stuff. And just like, if you interact with the community on Twitter, I think that's a great place to also sort of get your name out there. Especially if you're a content creator that's just like interested in streaming, but you've been writing articles or something else. Just drumming up that following on any social media platform can be really helpful. So
yeah,
I agree.
Before we go to Gibbons' question, CCal has a question. Is there enough interest in articles to make it worth writing eternal content? And do you need to be a recognizable name? I would say absolutely. There is interest in eternal content, and there's also a void of articles for eternal. And I don't think you need a recognizable name, especially if your content's good. I think that content outside of Twitch, there's just not a whole ton of. Like I do draft videos, but I guess there's also Gaunan and Gesture that do draft videos, but like there's really just not much of it. As far as strategy articles go, like Lights Out Ace and Flash write some, and like Kamado has his somewhat regular article about where he thinks the metagame is.
I would say that eternal players are lazy. Especially the content creators, we're all a lazy bunch, and I think there's a huge gap that could be filled from people who want to start writing articles that go in depth on things like pause timings and why does Jonah's grift blocks work, and slowing down your play, and like there's tons of article topics. And I think that right now probably my favorite writer on some of these is Neon. He does some really great articles that are pretty in-depth on strategy and the metagame and stuff like that. And I think that those are really good. But I think that we could probably, if you wanted to get your name out there and start writing articles and you've got some interesting content and you're able to research and that kind of thing, I don't think your name matters, but you might want to approach a website that has good visibility. EternalTitans.com is a decent place to start. Just, to plug that. We actually do look at outside content, and we have been considering having some guest writers. A Space Games, I bet if you contacted them, even if you're an unknown name, if you have a hell of a thing, like they might take you. And those are great places that you could start trying to get your name more well known.
There's also TeamRankstar.com. Don't want to leave you out here.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard of that one.
I know that they do some articles. I don't know if they feature guest writers much. I just know that those our two websites are very.
Yeah, the guys always seem to be pretty desperate to find people to write good content on that website for sure.
All right. Can we get to Gibbons' question now? All right. So Gibbons asked on Reddit, I'm curious what your current schedules are like committed to streaming both on air and off. Do you have time for other games, projects, etc.? Any boundaries or trade-offs with employers, employment, or relationships? Has it been better or worse since partner? So there's a lot to unpack there, right? So I'll just go ahead. Why don't we take turns just answering this question in its entirety instead of breaking it up, because I think we'll get lost. So my current schedule is I stream in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, and I stream in kind of in the afternoon on Wednesday. It just fits into my work schedule. My work schedule is pretty irregular as I'm basically a private tutor outside of Eternal. And in addition to that, I'll spend a little bit of time before streams making things that making sure stuff is set up. Also, hi Braxfin, welcome to the show. Yeah, so I'll spend a little bit of time before announcing, getting my computer prepared for the streaming and announcing that I'm going live, and then a little bit of time after, clipping anything relevant or exporting videos and stuff like that. So I do spend maybe about a half an hour after every stream just doing stream-related stuff, and beforehand it's about 15 minutes. In addition, I do make other content, which is another beast, and I don't know that it's relevant. I usually spend Thursdays making other content aside from just the stream. Do I have time for other games? Not a whole ton of time, but yes, I will say that I do play some other games, but boundaries and trade-offs with employment and relationships, definitely a trade-off with employment for me, because I am not working nearly as much as I did before I started streaming. And I'm fortunate to have that flexibility in my work schedule to be able to do that. Has it been better or worse since making partner? No change. I've put a little more effort in since making partner, but it hasn't really been different. What about you guys?
Do you want to lead with your schedule, Yada, and all that? Do you want to start off, or do you want me?
Okay. So yeah, I as I mentioned earlier, I keep my schedule pretty consistently in the evening, so that leaves my daytime to do normal, boring work. So my stream doesn't really impact my day-to-day life outside of it too much. Obviously, I don't do much socializing because I'm streaming, but that was not the case anyway before I started streaming, because I'd just be playing games or whatever anyway. So streaming is definitely sort of my social outlet, 100%. Hasn't changed since I've been partner. The one thing that's probably changed is Droptober sort of makes me feel like I have to stream more. So I'm kind of glad drops are sort of calming down. So it feels like I'm almost obligated to stream as much as I can, because the incentives are just so crazy as a streamer. So I feel like I've probably been overworking and overstressing myself lately. My sleep schedule, while I say I sleep, has probably been the worst it's been in a very long time. So I probably should dial it back a bit and take a break here and there. Yeah, that's about it from me.
I'm actually super surprised to hear that you have a full-time job because of how much you stream. Because I feel like I always see you on, and
Right.
and I've seen you on for some really extensive periods of time, even. So that's pretty crazy that you have a full-time job.
I am lucky in that I mostly work from home, and I do have sort of flexible hours, so that does help a lot. 100%. If I was working an office job 9 to 5, there's no way I'd be streaming as much as I do.
Okay. Yeah, I just felt, because I have a roommate that's a computer programmer, and I know that he would not be able to stream at all after doing that job all day. But working from home definitely gives you some flexibility.
Yeah.
As far as me, I've got it set so that right now, I show that I have 4-hour blocks for streaming. Basically, 4 days a week, and then the Saturday is this really extremely long block of streaming time because of the ETS and other things that usually happen on Saturdays. And I like to stream those, even though I tend to do worse in tournaments that I'm streaming. It's just still a really good viewer experience. I only set myself at 4-hour blocks because I don't want anybody to be disappointed when I do actually do a 4-hour days. But most days I do 6 to 8 hours is basically what I tend to try to do as far as that goes. I did suffer from some depression and like really overworking, and I had a really bad job that I quit in May, and so I decided to try to make streaming full time in August because I really love it and I always wanted to try to do that, and I was in a pretty good place financially where I'd saved up some money. So I basically do not have any job but streaming, and so that's why I really try to stick to at least 40 hours a week, because that's what a full-time job would be. And so I basically try to stick to that if I can. I don't really have time for other games too much. I play a little bit off stream in the evenings. Like I have a PlayStation that I played Red Dead Redemption 2 on recently that I really liked. But even then, I usually feel guilty when I play games off stream, which is kind of weird because I'm like having a great time and having a fun experience. And I'm like, I wish my viewers could be watching this, you know?
I get that.
Yeah. But that sort of leads into has it been better or worse since making partner? World's better. It's basically like being your own boss all of a sudden, whereas before Twitch was your boss. Now you're kind of your own boss, where like, say I want to fire up a midnight Red Dead Redemption 2 stream, I could do that. And even if only 12 people come and watch me, I don't have to worry about my numbers being not good enough for Twitch anymore, right? I can do that if I want to. And I think that's a really great thing, because even though that may not make me any money at all, I don't have to feel that guilt anymore of I can't play this game with my stream because I won't be able to make partner. And as far as the perks of getting partner, there's a lot of like untold perks, and you don't even know that they exist. Like one of them is really fascinating to me, and I can talk about this. You get a certain number of lifetime subs, and I had no idea you get this. Like you can just say, okay, my biggest fan or my favorite mod gets a lifetime sub to my channel, and you get one at 50, 250, and 500 subs. Oh, wow. And I was like, did you guys know about that?
I did not know about that.
The other wife is a lifetime sub to me.
Yeah, so you get 2 for your bots, and then you get 3 for anybody else. So I've got, like, my biggest fan is Lord of Slam, and he's definitely getting my first lifetime sub, for instance. So that's just one of those, like, very small things you can give back to your community that you get from being partner. And there's just a ton of those. There's just a ton of things that nobody tells you about that getting partner will do. So for me, it's been a lot better because I did a lot of research on what that meant. As far as boundaries or trade-off with employment and relationships, relationship-wise, my girlfriend, who's basically my wife, we've been together now for 8 years. She absolutely loves watching me stream, and because of that, she is super positive about me trying to make it into a career. She's also the artist for my like I got emotes and all this stuff, and so she's very supportive. So I haven't had to really make any sacrifices in my relationships with her. And I'm one of those people that makes like a couple close friends. So me not seeing all my Magic friends, acquaintances, and all that hasn't really affected me at all. So I haven't really had to make any sacrifices. But I will say that if you have a situation where it's stream or do something with a loved one, you should probably do the later. You should do things with your loved one, because like I had these things where I wanted to go to these art shows with her, but streaming was also an attractive thing. And Bassoon Buffoon put it in a really great light for me, whereas if you don't get out there and do things with your life other than streaming, you're not going to be able to have good life experiences to come and talk about or to be interesting. And I think it's very important that you get out there and do other things and stream for sure.
Yeah, so 2 things I want to touch on that have been, one thing that has been mentioned. Pushing for partner it's rough. And that's not something that you have to deal with immediately. I mean, if you're just starting out, you don't have to worry about this. You just stream whatever, stream other games, even if you don't get views for them, if that's what you want to do. But if you're in the push for partner, there's definitely a pressure to just be streaming Eternal to make sure that your numbers are really high, so that you're more likely to get your partnership application. And if you succeed in that, then there's a lot of then I feel like we feel like we can stream things that aren't Eternal, right? Like I'll do more just random other games or music streams personally, but that's that's a ways down the road.
Yeah. I think that like if you do want to make a push for a partner, if we don't mind touching on the subject for a minute, you have to realize that there's a real person looking at your application. So some of the things that I think that they don't talk about that they're looking for, the achievements don't matter. So that's one of the things that they do. They matter in like in such a way that you can apply through that portal, right? But like overall, the achievements don't actually make much of a difference. Like I was super excited when I hit those partner achievements. But then after doing a lot of research on it, I realized that most of the people that hit those achievements never actually make partner anyway.
Yep.
Or they get rejected several times in a row. They're looking for somebody. Now, these are the things that I was able to get from doing research, but don't take these to heart because they may not be true, because when Twitch denies you, they usually don't tell you why. And if they do tell you why, that's actually a positive thing, because that means that they're interested, but there is something you need to fix. Like, for instance, with me, they were like, you're doing great, but we need to see you over a longer period of time. Keep growing your community, keep going. And that was great for me because I knew that in another month, if I kept growing my average viewer count and I kept doing what I was doing, they would probably make me a partner. But if they're not giving you clear details on what you need to do, then what I suggest is a couple things. Have a very clear schedule, and you need to make your Twitch page presentable as a business, because what they're looking for are businesses. They're looking for people that want to treat they're looking for people that are treating this as a business that can grow. They want to make money off of you, right? And the only way they're going to make money off of you, it's true though.
Yes, it is.
The only way they're going to make money off of you is if you approach it like a business. Make sure that your About Me stuff looks really professional, have a really good schedule, stick to the schedule. Below your channel should just be you and you trying to sell your business, basically. There's ways that you can start growing your Twitter following, which I know they look for people that have a big Twitter following or a big YouTube following. Those things can be very helpful for applying for partner, but really it's about being consistent and about keeping your audience growing. And they don't care about things, from what I've seen, like sub counts. They don't really actually care that much about that. They just want to know, can we like, do people come to this guy regularly, and can we, make revenue off of them? So, and know it's a real person. That's a big thing. A real person is going to come and look at your channel, which means that if you're doing things that you think a real person would not like, you probably should not be doing them. That's a really big deal.
Yada, do you have anything to add?
Well, when I got partner, my situation is a lot different, I feel, because I've heard and I think I experienced the fact that because I'm an Australian streamer, it was a lot easier to become a partner because there was a more demand for Australian partners at the time. So I didn't have too much trouble getting partner myself. I just had pretty decent viewership numbers, and I sold myself really high. When you put in your application, just really talk yourself up and tell what you plan to do with your stream moving forward.
There's no downside.
Yeah, and they're definitely not looking for. They're also looking for people that are looking at their stream beyond being a partner as well. So for you, getting to a partner is an end goal, and you're just like, I'm ready to do whatever. Then they're not really that interested in you. Like if I was specifically said I want to be partners so I can stream Red Dead Redemption 2 without not being able to get a partner, they'd be like, well, screw that guy. He's just gonna lose all his if he gets a partnership, So
yeah. Treat it like a job interview. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One more thing: if you're not having fun, you're not going to provide a good streamer experience. So I think that it's better to take a day off than to force yourself to stream. Someone said, or wait, did someone ask this? Maybe not. But if I don't feel like streaming, I won't stream. That doesn't happen to me a lot because I just love Eternal. But if you're not having fun, it's a really big turnoff for your audience.
I
So
wish I took that advice because I just feel like if I don't stream, what else am I gonna do? Like I'm just so ingrained to it now. Like it's just such a routine. Like
So Caldiveran asks, "What are some things you guys don't like about streaming and/or Eternal? Time commitment. It's exhausting. Like it's emotionally draining. If I have a lot of other things going on, it's like really tough to just like to put in that effort you need to have a good stream. It's not necessarily something that I don't like, but it is something I factor if I I'm just really busy with work or whatever. Even if I have the time, I might not have the energy to stream. And there isn't much I don't like about Eternal. I'm
You're still
basically
doing a good
Direwolf's number
job, though,
one
Braxton.
fanboy. Huh?
Oh, sorry. Braxton was saying that he stopped caring about the partner goals because he wanted to enjoy his games. But I've seen Braxton stream quite a few times, and I actually think he's still doing a good job. I think if you keep it up, you can definitely make it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's good. I agree. I think that it might take a little longer, but the growth in your stream is still going to be there, even if you stream other games. It's just that like if you're racing to if you're really just trying to hit that partner, then you basically want to
Good
stream
God,
something.
I'm creepy. I've even seen Braxton stream. But anyway, for me, the hardest thing about Eternal is that I'm trying to balance competitive play and also being entertaining for the. So, like for instance, there are decks that come up in our team chat where we want to test things, and if I start testing a deck, it means that the other teams are going to look at that and be like, "Oh, they're looking into playing Haunted Highway for the tournament," and that kind of stuff. And it might seem like a very small thing, but if you assume that our whole team is going to bring something like Haunted Highway to the Invitational, then all of a sudden we have this huge disadvantage because all the other teams have tweak their decks to try to beat that deck and that kind of thing. So like yesterday I played 80 games of Haunted Highway, and I'm sure now people are like, oh well, they're definitely fucking bringing that deck. He played 80 games on stream. But I'm probably not going to bring that deck because I sucked all day with it and it was a piece of shit. So like, but the thing is, finding ways to balance that has been very hard for me. And then the other thing is, basically, do I grind ranked endlessly with different weird decks or whatever, or do I play draft? Like I can't figure out what game modes keep the most amount of viewers, and I don't know what people want most of the time. And so for me, that has been the hardest thing with Eternal. Like I used to be able to have a plan, and now I go into every stream without a good plan as to what I'm going to do, and I feel kind of lost every time I load up an Eternal stream these days. That's what has been my issue.
yeah, I'm getting that as well. I feel like that happens in the cycle of a set where there's not many interesting things to pursue and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling that as well.
And especially as a member of a team, like having this time slot allocated to playing Eternal and streaming, like you want to be able to do that, but you also can't do it with your team deck. I mean, that's a good way to get kicked off, right? Oh,
And you guys, y0tta, like actually doing your testing on stream is pretty insane. I like it a lot, and I wish that I could do that feasibly without giving away too much of what we're working on. I just don't know how I could work it into my stream without maybe pissing off some of the more competitive members of our team. I don't really know how to make that work.
I think our team is a little more laid back, and I'm not really a core component of the team in a competitive sense. I usually don't even play like the same deck.
Did you see what I said about you when you were in the top 100?
I did actually. Yes.
Yeah. I think that if you I think that you could definitely easily, you are a really good player. So I definitely think that even though you think you're not a core component of your team, I think you're probably doing more. I'm just saying, I definitely think that you're one of those people. Oh, am I complimenting you too much? You're definitely one of those people that I think that if you did your runs off stream, you probably would end up making worlds.
Well, that's what you're going full circle, right? You pay a price for streaming, right? Like,
yeah, you do.
I prefer to stream than be competitive, if that makes sense.
Okay, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Well, this is related to streaming. Sorry, you're right. We should stay on topic.
Stay on topic. But yeah, that is true. I think all three of us would rather stream than be competitive. Like the stream, like the success of our stream is more important to us than the success of our actual tournament play.
Yeah, 100% for me. Yeah.
Yes and no. I would love to be successful in the tournament scene, but yeah, my stream is more important than that for sure. Yeah.
I would love to be successful also, but my stream is more important.
You're a ridiculously good player too, though. So I mean, you're fine.
All right. So just any closing thoughts? Let's wrap this up. Any advice you'd give to your former self? You guys want to start?
I saw this in the rundown. I don't really, nothing profound comes to mind really. Like I feel like I've been pretty consistent and haven't made too many mistakes along the way when it comes to streaming. I don't know. What about you, Grim?
I would probably tell myself that that it's gonna be that to just keep working on it. It'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like at one point, I wanted to give up like a few times, and I'm really glad I didn't. But that would probably be the biggest. Like as far as helpful advice to myself, I do so much research. I don't think I could give myself very good advice except for motivational shit like you will get partner. You know.
Yeah.
You don't need to like be extremely upset because things didn't go your way during certain times, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Twitch drops are on the horizon. Don't worry.
this is actually, I think this is actually a really good point. Twitch suffers from the same thing that all other like social media suffers from, is you are seeing people at their top, right? So there can be some anxiety associated with that, like, oh, you know, I got 40 viewers yesterday, but today I only have 10 viewers. You know, what's going on? I've definitely had that anxiety myself. Have you guys experienced that?
Oh hell yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Like I was like, I went from a day where I had 400 viewers without anybody rating me to a day where I had 50 viewers, and I was like, holy shit, I am going to never make partner like this. This was like when I was waiting on them to do the application or whatever the second time I put it in. And then I was like, if I have a day that's where I'm getting 50 viewers, then this is just going to be awful. Yeah. And it turned out that there were just a ton of good people on all of a sudden at the same time that are basically providing all the same content I do. And I was just getting overshadowed by them. And then but it made me want to just be like, oh god, maybe I just shouldn't stream on Thursdays anymore, or that whatever. And
I mean, that's a legitimate concern. If you're streaming at a time when a lot of other people are streaming, especially if they have regular schedules for that time, that's a good. Yeah. There's something to be learned from that. But also just, things aren't going to happen on a consistent basis. Some days you'll be like, people will just be pouring into your stream and you don't know why. And other days it will be kind of slow, and that's just the reality of it. So don't judge yourself too harshly on small sample sizes. If you stream on Thursdays every week and it's kind of a dead stream every Thursday, maybe don't stream that day. Maybe figure something else with your schedule. But certainly on a day-to-day basis, don't freak out if like you've been doing well and then all of a sudden you have a huge setback, because that's just a part of Twitch. All of us have had that. All right, you guys good?
Yeah, I'm good. I think this was pretty good.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, especially on such short notice and such little planning. But I think this turned out really well. Thanks everyone who showed up in chat. Hopefully we answered all your questions. If not, there'll be a Reddit thread. I'll stay tuned to it to answer questions that I can. So yeah, thanks for watching. Check us out at twitch.tv/Sunyveil, y0ttabyte, Grimfan. And yeah, we'll see you guys in Twitch chat.